Hey everyone, welcome to this lecture. Continuing with our Palo Alto App ID discussion, let's talk about the one of the important topic, which is called as application shift in your Palo Alto firewall. So it's a small topic, but it is an important one for you guys to understand this and what is the meaning of application shift in Palo Alto firewall. Okay, so let's take out your notes. Here we go. So I'm talking regarding application shift in PA firewalls. Okay, now what is the meaning of it? So generally what happens is in your Palo Alto network firewalls there is a feature called as application shift, which refers generally to a scenario where network traffic initially it appears as one application and later it shifts to a different application. So this generally happens because Palo Alto firewalls uses this feature called as app ID, so which is a signature based application identification technology that usually classifies the traffic based on deep packet inspection rather than just TCP or UDP ports or any protocols, right? So first thing first, that means if the traffic was destined for one particular application, but due to this feature of application shift, the traffic might reach to a different application, right, on its journey to the destination. So the first point should come to your mind is why does this application shift occurs? Application shift occurs, right? That's the first thing that will come to your mind. So first answer for this would be incomplete first packet identification. First packet identification, which means there are some applications, for example web browsing, right? Let us say a user is trying to do some web browsing. Now it starts with generic traffic before it switches to a more specific application, right? More specific application like YouTube or Facebook, right? So a general web browsing destination traffic suddenly switching to a different application like YouTube or Facebook, right? Second reason why this application shift can occur is because of SSL encryption and decryption. SSL encryption and SSL decryption, okay, which means if your SSL decryption is not enabled, right, then the firewall may see the encrypted traffic as SSL traffic before identifying the actual application. Okay, that could be a problem. Number 3 could be having tunneling or proxy services, right, which means that the applications running inside any other applications, right? So apps running inside other applications, right? For example, a game application within Facebook, right? So example could be a game application within Facebook application, right, which can cause an initial misidentification of the actual application in the destination traffic, right? So number 4 could be dynamic port changes. Which means that some application dynamically change ports or protocols during a session which leads to an application shift. Okay, now if those conditions are matching, if the application shifts are being experienced, right, how does your Palo Alto firewall can handle this application shift, right? So how to handle the application shift. So how does the Palo Alto firewall can handle this application shift? Let's make some points for that. So first thing which should come to your mind is definitely to enable SSL decryption, right? That's the first important thing. So you have seen that earlier as well, how to enable SSL decryption in a Palo Alto firewall. So this will definitely help in identifying the applications that is present inside one encrypted traffic. Okay, second point would be, use security policy, or I should say security policies based on application ID, right? Try to use that. So that means instead of relying on ports or port numbers or protocols, make sure that you try to create those security policy much with application ID based policy, that is app ID based policies, to allow or block specific application, right? So I should say add app ID based policies to allow or block specific applications. And third point could be, there is a feature called as enable continue tracking, right? Enable continue tracking. So in policies, in your security policies, okay, that means this ensures that security rules still apply even if the application shift mid of the session, right? And number 4 would be to monitor logs and adjust the rules. So monitor logs and periodically adjust the security policies or rules, which means that always try to use the traffic logs and the session browser in the firewall to analyze the application shift, and always try to refine the policies, right? So as I've told you, the best practices is number 1 to enable an SSL decryption. So then use application ID based policies wherever required. You can enable continue tracking, right, in the security policies under the action tab, and monitor and adjust the policies using the logs, right? So yeah, so I hope it is very much understandable and it is clear.